Ed Mayne, when you think about him, there are three things that immediately come to mind. Karen, his wife, who really is his boss, even though he's the boss of a lot of other people. Hunting, and a dedication to fighting for the working people of Utah, especially working families.
What a wonderful tribute this is to Ed for the lifetime of service he has given to our great state, and especially to the working men and women who have made our state what it is today.
I always think of him as just a regular guy, another one of my buddies, and then he'll give a speech, he'll pass a piece of legislation, and I forgot who he was, because then I'm in awe of him.
He's always the first one to shake your hand or put your arm around you or give you a kind greeting. So, you know, he certainly never makes anybody feel uncomfortable in his presence.
When things are a little out of kilter, it's Ed that kind of can get perspective on things.
What a giant of a person. I mean, his persona has always been so large.
Ed is a very kind-hearted but very strong man.
But I think his congeniality and his effort to try to do the right thing has been a real asset to him.
He is single purpose in his goal of helping primary middle class and working families get their fair share of the American pie.
He's always been very dedicated to his job as labor leader and fighting for the working families in Utah.
He has such a tremendous commitment to the people he represents, and he has a tremendous dedication to advancing the community's interests.
If you take a look at it, Ed always took the time to understand the other person's viewpoint on an issue.
Eddie has that rare old-style quality of listening with integrity and trying to see how he can be of help to the person that's speaking with him.
Principled, always stood for good things people could find, they could talk to him.
Eddie is one of a kind, and they don't come like him anymore.
Ed Mayne has probably been a mentor as much as anything to me.
I have personally appreciated his friendship and his counsel over the years.
When I first decided to run for office, I did what I think a lot of people in Utah have done, and that is one of the first people I went and talked to was Ed. I remember Ed took a lot of time that day. Took the time to talk through the politics, but also to talk through the personal life.
He has been a friend, a mentor, someone that we can laugh together, but also, we've kind of cried together a few times.
Eddie was just 1 year old. He had just turned 1 year old. He had a dog for him for his birthday. and Eddie was just learning to walk. The next thing I knew, he was chasing the dog around, but he was falling. And every time he fell, he'd say, "Oops." And so when it came to naming the dog, guess what we named it? Oops.
Ed would go with me out to visit the various schools, and this particular day was a really rainy day, and it was out at Kearns Jr., and I had parked in the north parking lot, and he had parked on the south end of it. And he said, "Debbie, come on out." And I said, "But Ed, my car's back over in the north parking lot." He says, "No, you need to come with me." Well, you don't normally say no to Ed when he's like real insistent. I said, "But it's raining outside, Ed." And he goes, "No, come with me, I'll take you around." Well, he walks me out, and he goes to the back of his vehicle, and he's lifting up the back of his vehicle. I'm going, like, what's he doing? And there was his dog, Chance, beautiful golden retriever. And he had found out in a kind of a general conversation lightly that my dog had just passed away that was similar, a golden retriever. And he said, "I found out that the best thing in order to heal from something like that is to have the hug of another puppy." Well, for me, it was a very good thing that it was raining outside because it kind of hid the tears.
Ed has absolutely spoiled every hunting dog I've hunted with him with, and his own. And they don't hunt without burgers. They don't hunt without donuts.
Of course, his solace was always going out and going duck hunting. I mean, that was his relaxation.
Well, the first duck hunt I got together with Ed, and I was already out in the blind, which was probably 20 yards out. and the mud was about calf deep and the water up to your knee. Finally, Ed showed up. There he was with an ammo box in one hand and the gun under his arm and a bag of burgers in the other hand. As he came out, I could see he was struggling. I was embarrassed for him, so I turned my head, let him make his way out as best he could. And so as I was looking to the north, I heard a curse and a splash. Looked back. All I could see was an arm with a bag of burgers sticking out of the water.
Over the years, I found that about the only thing outside of his family that Ed would postpone or cancel a meeting was so if it was duck season and he got on that airboat and went out to the lake.
Another hunt, we were in the blind, stood up, take a shot at the duck. And when he leaned into his shot, he also leaned into the propane heater, which set his leg on fire. Got 2 shots off at the duck, put down the gun, then extinguished his leg with his hand. I was in shock and asked him, "Are you all right?" And he looked at his hand. He said, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just can't believe I missed the duck."
I first met Eddie Mayne when I was applying for the job of Public Relations Coordinator for the Utah State AFL-CIO. I was there and being interviewed by 15 members of the State AFL-CIO Executive Board. The only one I saw there in gym shorts was Ed Mayne.
He's always has those boots on, and you know when he's coming.
My old saying was, that's why cowboys ride horses, because they can't stand to walk in those things.
He doesn't know how to tie a tie, that they're all pre-tied for him, so he hangs them up with the knot already in them, and he puts them on.
He looked really humorous, I thought, when he would wear his shorts and his cowboy boots.
Eddie takes a very casual look and doesn't need to impress anybody with what he's wearing.
He was very dedicated to his job and very often spent many hours at it. And at the time when he had his children and they were small, I kind of mothered him in a way because I bawled him out and told him to spend more time with his children.
The love and the reason he could cry at his wedding and cry thinking about his kids is that he just loves them beyond anything that we know on this earth.
The union movement has a real strain on married life. I always say that if you live through 30 years in the union movement as a full-time union representative and still married, happily married, you've got to give both people a lot of credit.
The combination of Ed and Karen was so special and so powerful that I think it's important that we talk about them as a team, and they supported the causes that they were both concerned with together, and together they brought great enthusiasm and dedication, especially in the political arena.
I think they're a pair. I think everything you can say about Eddie, you have to say equally about her.
Generally, there's not a humanitarian cause that doesn't have either Ed or Karen's fingerprint in a very supportive way.
Karen, both you and Ed can be proud of what you have given to all of us. And I am honored to have had the privilege of calling Ed my friend. He was truly my friend, and I will always truly be his.
From the day he was born, he was always helping someone.
His teachers loved him. And one day the teacher called me up and she says, "Would you mind coming to school in the morning and sitting in the class?" And I said, "Yes." She says, "Now, he hasn't done anything wrong, but Eddie is a leader in this school, it seems like." And she says, "The kids is always talking to him, talking. And he says, I just want to get them so that they don't talk so much." And so I sat there and I came in, and it was really funny. He was a little embarrassed, but he didn't talk so much after that.
I can recall in high school, Ed and I went to a judo class. In this judo class, they were trying to show how you use somebody's body weight against them. So Ed started into this thing, and Ed would not go down. And I'll tell you, just to show you how stubborn it was, we just fought each and every one of them. You know, I can't recall anybody ever put him really down.
He's a straight shooter. When he says something, you know it's what he means, and you know if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
Ed's has a tenacity about him that when he wants to accomplish something, it gets accomplished.
I guess I look at it and wish I had that great of commitment in my soul and in my vision of my leadership.
The thing about Ed is, though, it wouldn't make a difference in football. Ed always participated 100%. Ed would actually get mad at the players if they didn't play 100%, because he had that much dedication to sports and everything that he felt that was the way you should play it.
The thing about Ed that distinguishes him from a lot of people in politics is that you knew what his core value was, and that is it's always been about looking out for the underdog.
The boys didn't have a place to play baseball anymore, and within 2 weeks there was 3 complete ballparks there. He had to work hard to get those, and the kids was playing right after that.
Whenever I talked with Ed, I always knew that his motivation was, I'm gonna look out for the guy who doesn't necessarily have the big powerful interests behind him, but this is the kind of guy who works hard every day and deserves someone looking out for him. So that's Ed's political legacy for me.
People who are very ambitious and talented as he is do well when they're in a job that they love, and he seemed like he loved that particular part of the union movement.
I admire Eddie's principle, his understanding, his valiant defense of working families and their legitimate rights to advocate and collectively bargain for their own conditions of work.
Even though we would have debates about the means, the ends were always, our agendas were together, and he would always help make those things happen.
It's been a good life both of us have had in different avenues of the union movement, but it's still been great to be part of that movement and part of his life.
Ed was a good man to work for. He was very caring and thoughtful.
When Eddie was considering running for the state senate, he had always, of course, lobbied, and he knew the legislature, senate, and house, and he knew that's where the power was going to be exercised.
In one sense, I was surprised, but in another, I wasn't, because I thought, well, it's a natural. He's been involved in the political scene for so long that that would be the next step, and that's where he could see he could be effective too.
He's a wonderful candidate in terms of getting elected, but he makes life a living hell for everybody that's around him. They had just finished their brochure, and they were all proud, and they had worked like crazy on it, and he had driven them nuts about it. I gotta admit, I knew the problems of cranking it out and all the headaches he'd give everybody, so I look at it, I just said to him, I said, this is wonderful, but, well, you have no picture with the Boy Scouts, and his face just goes right white. He just goes, and he yells at his assistant, Karen Nielsen, you get spat for on the phone. Where are the Boy Scouts?
He has been a tremendous advocate for Utah's working families, and he's been a tremendous advocate for the Democratic Party in Utah and Democratic Party candidates, including myself.
We may have not always agreed on everything. In every case, I never doubted his sincerity and knew his interests were for what was best for our state, our country, and our families.
And he's always got that single focus in mind is let's get a little bit, let's move it forward, let's improve things incrementally, and probably no politician in the state of Utah has been better at that in protecting the economic interests of the middle class and working families than him.
That's the admiration I learned and still to this day have, that he had such a passion for doing things for people, but the pragmatism and the foresight to see that people coming together with a lot of diverse ideas required some compromise at times.
He is someone who has always done the right thing for the right reason.
All of us, Republicans and Democrats, have been the recipient of his work, his abilities, and his tireless efforts.
I want him to know how much he's always meant to me, and I hope that he has some good feelings towards me too.
So he has been one of the great steady voices of Utah politics for well over 3 decades, and we owe him a great deal of thanks.
What a great leader he is. What a great spirit. A person who truly lives his life the way he believes his life to be.
He's wonderful, okay?